Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today is Tuesday, April 21st. I am on my spring break right now from teaching the little ones, and I am so happy because I have so much to do. So I figured I would take you on a whole entire day's worth of things that I need to get done. Mind you, I do have 2 kids at home, so it takes me probably about 10 times as long to get things done than if you didn't have a 2 and a 5-year-old to constantly just keep an eye on. And hey, if you're new here, my name is Kristy. I am located in Western Massachusetts, Zone 6A, and my average last frost date is coming upon us. It's around May 9th to 15th. It kind of keeps fluctuating and getting earlier and earlier, but it's still super cold. I actually had to tent everything last night as it dipped down to 28 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like such a bummer because I planted a lot out and I have so much more. As you can see, like, all of this needs to get planted out this week, and I was hoping to do so last weekend, but unfortunately I just couldn't because it's been getting so cold. Friday we're looking about 38 degrees, which will be fine. And I noticed my snapdragons that I didn't cover last night were actually totally fine. So I've been covering things for the past 2 nights, like my stock, Lisianthus, ranunculus. It's rains constantly the past 2 days, so some of my nicer ranunculus are looking like, oh, I don't even know. I hope they bounce back because it's been cooler but rainy. And my garden beds do have a lot of drainage, I would say. Like, they are not puddling, but they're just holding so much moisture. I'm just hoping the corms aren't like rotting or anything. But I still have like my 4th rounds of snaps. They're pretty small. I'm not sure why they're not really taking off. I have my 2nd round of stock, and everything did really good in my unheated greenhouse. Straw flower is like totally needs to get out. It's so root bound, I'm sure. I didn't pot like anything up. I just don't have the time, nor do I want to be buying some more soil and anything. So I am going to do I have a ton of perennials in here. I have yarrow. I also have status, a lot of mountain mint. So needless to say, I have a lot of perennials that I'm focusing on getting out into the garden. So if you're new, this is my 2nd year selling flowers at my roadside flower stands, my 3rd year growing vegetables, and my 2nd year really honing in on flowers to sell and produce so I can make a profit from them at my roadside flower stand. And I learned a lot more about cool flowers, which I knew nothing of. Last year it was mostly like zinnias and dahlias. I had like no greenery whatsoever, no line flowers, so we really kicked things into gear. And I really went heavy on some of my perennials as well, which is great because unfortunately, the voles ate almost like 80% of my coneflower that I had been planting out for the past 2 or 3 years. Some are really nice established plants, which is fine because I am going to be putting a lot of my Rebecca, and I have a couple more coneflower. That's my favorite flower is coneflower, but I don't use it so much in my bouquets. So I do have a perennial strip where I will be putting them in along my fence line, and I can plant more so once we have more space in the backyard. So let me just break it down what we're doing today. So right now I am going to be moving everything out of this greenhouse back outside. It's been in here for about 2 days or so. And then I do plan on just trying to clean up some of my space. We just have so many leaves and pine needles, so I'm going to clean some spots out and then figure out where I am going to be planting everything. I have a lot of my perennials around what used to be my 11 vegetable garden beds. Now those will be all for cut flowers minus my cattle panels, which will hold my cherry tomatoes, and I'm hoping one day I can just work my way into sweet peas there. But I still want vegetables because we use a lot of cherry tomatoes. And then I do have a nice pollinator strip, which I'll be adding some things to. And then I do have a big perennial garden actually right outside of the greenhouse where I transplanted a bunch of my Memes irises. After she passed away and they sold the house, I dug a bunch up. So I have a ton of irises, and I have my mother-in-law's. I dug up a bunch of hydrangeas. So I have some over there that are finally starting to kick in because I absolutely love hydrangeas. But I have so much, I don't want to call it dead space, but space that I'm not using. So I do have a lot of mulch there. So what I plan on doing is creating a bunch of holes, filling them with my 50-50 mix that I got in about 14 yards worth. And then I will be planting a lot of like my sea holly there and some other perennials. that hopefully it gets so much sun that they'll take up nicely. And then I kind of gonna try and cut back on all the mulch maybe over the years, but we would always go super heavy there because of weed pressure, and we had my daughter's birthday party, so we did a lot of mulch. So I'm gonna try and work some of my perennials there, and also in between my daffodils as well. I'm gonna be putting some of those perennials. I'm kind of thinking I shouldn't have planted my daffodils there, but needless to say, they will stay there for now. So we're going to move everything out of here so I can get some good sunshine. And then when my little one is sleeping, I will start planting out and figuring out where I'm putting these perennials. At least I know where I'm putting my mountain mint and like my sea holly. And then I'm hoping tomorrow I can get some of these snapdragons. However, like I said, these are just my Madam Butterfly, and they are just really small compared to my other ones. So I'm hoping they're probably just extremely root bound. They have been in here since the end of January, so January 31st. And then I also have some more stock that I need to add. And then I'm like with my straw flower, for instance. Oh, I'm stepping on stuff. My straw flower, it's like this nice, look at this. It looks amazing. They're very root bound. This is just a 72 cell count tray, and I kind of overseeded, so I need to get these out. And I'll wait probably until next weekend or so to get some of my status. But up here is all my perennials. I tried growing veronica, didn't do so well with that. But we're going to try and figure out where to put stuff. Oh, and I have a ton of yarrow back there, which I will be putting in my nice yarrow patch, and some feverfew. So yeah, we have a lot of planting to do, and I have company coming tomorrow, so I can't, unfortunately, use a lot of my time. And I do need to get my dahlia beds ready, because once I head back to work, I will not have the energy from sleeping in and getting a lot of stuff done. So, all right, I'm going to get this stuff out, and then we're going to do a little bit of cleanup, and I'll show you where I plan on planting a few things, and hopefully we can get as much done as we can. It is about 42 degrees right now, and I told my kids we are heading on out. It's about 10 a.m., so we'll see what we can get done by the time it's time to put the little ones to bed. As I mentioned before, it was 28 degrees last night, so I'm going to take all of these off. A lot of them, I didn't have time to tie them down good, so they're a little bit caved in. It was so windy, and my hands were so cold that I'm like, I just could care less right now. As long as something is over them, that is all that matters to me. So I'm going to take these off, and then we'll start our cleanup. So we're finally planting. I have some veronica right here, which I will put on this side. And then whatever is left over, I have a ton of feverfew. I have 3 different varieties. So for our feverfew, we have Vegmo single, Magic single, and Tetra white. So I have 3 different varieties here, which we all started together. So hopefully I'll have some different successions. And then my veronica was super spotty, but I do have the pink goblin, a few of those. And then this one right here is the sightseeing mix. So I'm going to just get what I can in. Maybe next year I'll have better luck and I'll be able to put it in a perennial row. But this bed had nothing in it, and I wasn't gonna put perennials, but I figured why not, because I can always dig them up if I need to. So we're gonna start with the veronica and move our way to the feverfew. So we started the veronica back on Valentine's Day. So I always like to start in the corner, and then we will just give it a little squish. And it's not terribly root bound, so that is good. But I always like to tease the bottom and make sure that they can grow the best way possible. So let me scooch over, and we will get these in, and then hopefully we'll have time to do our mountain mint. I was hoping to get yarrow done, and then I'm not quite sure what to do about some of my other spots. I want to get Echinops in as well if possible. These are all of our veronicas. I'm going to speed through the Feverfew and then we're going to plant our Bupleurum. All done with this Feverfew, and I left a little bit of space because I did actually winter sow a bunch of milk jugs. Some of them will be going to the school that I work at, but I figured if I leave this space I can put the little seedlings, and I'm hoping because I actually have some that wintered over from last year's winter sown milk jugs, and they are already starting to get nice and big and full, that I'll have different successions. So I have some along this fence line. This is my perennial garden against the fence line. However, I still will be cutting from it. I planted a ton of yarrow. There's also some sweet williams, the biennials, and feverfew, and I'm not quite sure what else I have over there. I think a lot of hyssop as well, but it survived a lot of them, which is so exciting. And then I have my fall planted ones that look fantastic. So I'm hoping by having different successions, I can have some different time frames when I can add them to my bouquets. So we're just gonna go 3 beds down, and we have some rather sad, scrawny Bupleurum that I did start indoors, but I'm hoping it will take off because the Bupleurum did not winter over very well here. I have maybe 5 or 6 plants that did okay, but not enough where I feel like it's a lot. I was going to actually direct sow some right here, but I'm gonna hold off, and I'm gonna maybe direct sow some in another spot if I do have the space and time. So we'll see about that. So let's head down to the Bupleurum. So this was supposed to be my Bupleurum section, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 11 or so. But I did do little rows in sections, and they just did not make it. But I did start some indoors. I don't know, they kind of seem super floppy. So I'm hoping once they're in the ground, they're definitely root bound. And I have several 6-packs right here. Some didn't germinate. I grew these in my basement, so, and I think there's like a random feverfew actually in here too. But I'm going to put them in here. I think I should have enough space. If not, I have a little bit of extra space on the end right here. And I still have my frost cloth out because you know what? It's been a day today. So I'm gonna get these in, and then I really want to work on by my irises and trying to get the sea holly and the echinops, and that is like my biggest project because I do need to bring in a wheelbarrow full of my 50-50 mix because of how thick my mulch is. I'm hoping I can take my hoary knife, really get in there, find the ground, fill it up with some 50-50 mix, and then plant each one. If not, and then we'll have to wait and see where I can put it, because I'm trying to save my tilled rows for all of my warm annuals. So yeah, it should be interesting. I really wish I had some more space to get them out in a better solution, but it does get a lot of sun over there, and I kind of like having that sea holly and echinops over there because I have my blue hydrangeas and I also have my blue irises, so I thought it would be a really nice addition over there. So let's get these in, and then we're gonna hop on over that way where it's going to be a lot warmer in the sun. So there we have it. We have our Bupleurum. This is all of our fall planted Feverfew, which looks amazing. We have our Saponaria, which I direct sowed, and that's starting to come up. We have lots of dianthus over here with a couple of bachelor's buttons that actually survived. This is what we just planted out, right? The second to the last one, the Feverfew and all of our veronica, and then we have some snapdragons over in the back. But over here, this is going to be my Sweet Williams and the Feverfew, which actually lasted through the winter. And we have a bunch of yarrow and hyssop and lots of Sweet Williams, which I'm hoping to harvest from. All right, so I am going to make our way over to the other side of the backyard. We are going to start our sea holly and echinops. But first I'm going to get some dirt But first I'm gonna get my 50-50 mix in a wheelbarrow, bring it over, and I need to find my hori knife. I have no idea. I am someone that misplaces things all the time in the backyard. I just throw it on a shelf. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll remember. And then like, I honestly never do. So I'm gonna get all of that set up, and then hopefully that won't take too long and we can get nice and warm in the sun. All right, it is like so much warmer over here in the sun, but I'm gonna take it because there's a nice breeze. So this is my area where I have perennials. So I do have my blue hydrangeas. I do have one plant that I think I planted when we first got here about 3 years ago. And then I transplanted some of my mother-in-law's hydrangeas, and it looks like they took. And then I have my Memes irises all behind here. And then I do have a lilac tree that is trying to establish. It's been here for about 3 years too, that I transplanted from my parents' house. So it's a nice little perennial area with little bits and pieces from everyone's homes, which I love. But I have all this blank space. I used to have a few perennials. I'm not quite sure what they were that I took from my Memes house, but something always keeps eating them. It came back 2 years, and then oh, it's actually starting to poke through, so never mind. It is starting to poke through, but then something comes and mows all the leaves down. So I just want to fill it with something that I can use. And like I said, this gets like full sun all day up until probably about, I don't know, 3-4 o'clock once it hits the pine trees over there. So my game plan is, because I finally found my hori knife. I lost my first one. This is by Work Pro, and it's great. I love the handle, and of course I had to get it in pink. So I have this to help me try and find the soil level, because we do have black mulch here from I would say probably like 2 years we've been stacking it up here, because it is just dead grass, moss, and leaves in our backyard. Until we get the trees knocked down, we'll get some grass in hopefully at some point. But enough rambling. So let me just show you what I do have, and then we'll get to planting. So they are not the happiest, but this is going to be my blue glitter sea holly, and we have blue cap sea holly. I don't know if they were these were growing in my basement, so I don't know if they were just too cold and too wet and damp all the time because of the cooler temperatures. So I'm hoping these will really perk up and bounce back once they're in the ground. And then we have our Star Frost Echinops. So this will be, I believe, a white variety, which I will sprinkle in. And then I thought I had another one of sea holly, but I guess not. Right here I have the Echinops Retro, and those have really taken off. So I'm very excited to get these in. So I plan on putting over in the back, I do have like one random sedum over there that I hope to propagate from later on. I'm gonna put my Echinops on this side, my sea holly over here. Let's start all the way in the back, and then we'll work our way forwards. But it's 50 degrees and it's hotter than heck, so don't mind my million outfit changes today. But I think this is good. I'm not quite sure if I spaced them too close, but I think this will give them enough space. So I do have some little hydrangeas. Oh, I can't really see that well, but a couple of them. So I didn't want to put them too close. So once this starts branching out, I gotta actually trim this one back. I don't think I cut it this year, but I did have a couple of pieces of hydrangea that just didn't make it. I transferred a couple of chunks, but I'm actually pleasantly surprised with the amount that it took. So I'm hoping I can maybe get some more hydrangeas. And we also have our little experiment with the winter saw milk jugs. I don't think they have roots yet, but we'll wait and see. So I am going to put a little bit of the sea holly in the front here. This took up a lot more space than I thought, and then I will also put the other Echinops over on the other side by my lilac. So we're just gonna keep plugging away because I really want to get my mountain mint in today. So I have mountain mint left over and yarrow. So that will be all of the perennials besides maybe some of the Rebecca if I have time to get that in around my old vegetable garden. So I'm just gonna keep plugging away. Hope you don't mind all of the speed videos, but I figured it just goes by a lot quicker that way. So I'm just gonna keep going. And we did it. We have all of our sea holly over here. My son's still sleeping, so that's good. So with my Echinops, I have some blue here and then a little bit of white, and then I trailed the white in the front. And then we have some more blue. So this is gonna just really fill this area out nicely. And hopefully we'll get some blooms this year. All right, and don't mind my messy backyard, but this is what it looks like with kids. And I don't want to pack up my frost cloth because I might need it again on Friday. Today's Tuesday. So we're gonna head over here. And I have pennycress, which I direct sowed, and that came up a lot. And then I have a little patch right here of mountain mint. So I'm gonna plant all of my mountain mint right now. And then if we have time, I'm gonna plant some of my Rebecca, but I do have this whole patch that overwintered Indian summer, and I don't want it there. I'm gonna actually dig it up. Some of them I think I am going to sell at my stand, and then the rest I'm gonna put in an island up front and or move it towards that back fence where we were before. But I need the space for my status in straw flower, and all my celosia and sunflowers and zinnias are all gonna go over here. So I cannot have it take up real estate. It was more of a, let's see if Rebecca will overwinter here, which I'm so excited. So I'm zone 6A, and it did overwinter. It looked awful and dead, and then it just has been coming up. I've been watering it every single day. So thrilled about that, but it just cannot stay here. So we're gonna dig that up. Hopefully, I'm thinking maybe tomorrow. So let's go on over and plant some mountain mint. All right, so it's time to plant our mountain mint, and I'm trying to be a little careful because I did take some of the dried seed heads in the fall and sprinkle them around, and I am not sure if some of these little growths are going to be some mountain mint or if they're weeds. So I have a lot over here, not so much down this way. So I'm gonna start over here and work my way over. And I think the mountain mint did pretty good. So we have two varieties. We just have your regular mountain mint, which germinated nicely. And then this is the Virginia mountain mint. So I'm hoping that this is my little established patches. I have a native perennial gardening group, and I bought them at the library, I wanna say for like 10 bucks each or something like that. And they overwintered beautifully, and this has really spread out. So I'm very excited. So I'm gonna get these in. My little one should be waking up probably soon. And I found another tray of sea holly, which I knew I had 4 trays in total. So I'm gonna have to find somewhere to put that, but I think that's as far as I will get today, is these few varieties. And then tomorrow, hopefully I can work on my status and my straw flower, which really needs to come out. So I am going to hopefully bust through this before dinner time, and then I'm gonna call it a day. So let's get to it. The mountain mint is all set, and here is my established patch. And then I have another variety right here, but of course I lost the tag. And then there's all these little tiny ones. They could just be weeds, but I did spread so much, and I don't remember what they look like when they were little. So I still have so much of this bed that I do have some winter sown, and if anything, I can put some of my other perennials over here. The only issue is with this bed is that I'm gonna have to dig everything up, because unfortunately it is going to be through the access point to the backyard, because we're clearing all those. All right, I had to get a jacket because it's freezing out now because the sun's gone down, but the breeze does feel nice. So I am going to try and get some yarrow in right now before I get dinner started, because I think I do have some time to do so. So I am going to try and get this done, and then hopefully we can call it a day until tomorrow. But I do have company coming tomorrow, so we were just right behind there. Now we have to go to the other side. Normally when I am planting stuff out, I try to always work in the shade, because I am one that overheats and gets dehydrated insanely easily. So even with the sun out on a 50-degree day, look at these beds. Oh, that is going to be my task on Thursdays to fill those. We have some yarrow. So I just wanted to show you the trays super quick. So we have all of my saved yarrow. Clearly didn't do a great job, and I'm so bummed because I saved, it's the Tutti Frutti variety, and the bunnies got to most of it. So right here we have, it says the double diamond. So I do have that one right there. So at least we have that. And then I have a whole other tray, kind of with some spotty germination. We have the Colorado, let's see. Oh, we have two things of Colorado. And then I have the flower burst shades in the middle. So we have a good amount of yarrow. We're gonna go to the yarrow patch, and hopefully we can fill it up. We are back to the yarrow patch. I really need to clean it up a little bit better with all of these leaves, but it's just been so windy. I haven't had time. My peony is coming up, but my kids kicked a ball and it just happened to hit the little, what's this called? I don't know, support. And I gotta fix that, but there's lots of yarrow popping up. I think little seedlings too, so I'm gonna try and be super careful to not crush them. But yeah, this is the space we're working with, and that is actually what we planted earlier, so I'm gonna hop to it. And behind me, our yarrow patch is finished and complete. So it is time for me to clean up because I have stuff all over the place. And I gotta get dinner going. And I am gonna take a break because we have so much more to do for the next few days. So if you would like to stay updated and see how everything is going, up next is going to be straw flower and status. And I still have Rebecca. And then we are gonna start hardening off some of our warm loving annuals only into the greenhouse because it's going to be warmer during the day. So I will move them into the greenhouse during the day, move them into the garage at night, and complete that awful process because in a few short weeks is going to be my average last frost date, which is around May 9th this year, May 15th. I like to do anything that is a warm loving annual after Mother's Day, and like tomatoes and peppers, usually some of my zinnias, those will go out Memorial Day weekend. So go ahead and click like and subscribe and hit that bell button, and I will see you all later. Happy gardening. Bye.